And my brother, who was a little bit older to me, was in between Swami and that person in the back seat. My mother and I were supposed to sit in the front seat. For some reason, Swami said, no, Jagdish, you sit in the front, Geeta ma will sit on my lap and come. Because, it's a long journey for Kamalama to have her sitting on her lap for so long. Many times he was doing that. That particular time, I sat on Swami's lap from Prashanti Nilayam, and the car will go up and down, up and down, because there was no road. It's a bullock cart track. So it will go up and down, banging, this and that, and sitting there. And I had short hair even then. And I used to sit there, and I was a fidgety 3-year-old. I would move my head and my hair would hit Swami's face. So my father, who was quite a serious person, he would keep looking at me through the the mirror in the car and thing, and glare at me, telling me not to move. Because every time I moved, my hair will hit Swami's face. So don't move. He would keep on glaring at me. And my mother knew that I am fidgeting, and every few minutes she says, Swami, I will take her, Swami, to my lap. And Swami said, no, you sit down. And then he will tell my father, hey, Padmana, mundi chuskoni drive cheyu. Look in the front and drive. Why are you looking in the mirror all the time? She is sitting quietly. So this went on. And we reached Penakonda. Then that particular day we had left after lunch. We left, and by the time we left Penakonda after Dukapatnam, Kottacharvana, that we started to come. Must have been around 5 o'clock in the evening. 5:30 was, in those days, Prashanti Nilayam Bhajan was at 5:20. I was sitting, I must have fallen asleep or something, leaning against Swami's chest, leaning. And suddenly, this was my first lesson of omnipresence, which is why I said my life started off with that thread. Suddenly, I heard Om in the car. So my parents were not good singers. My mother did not sing or my father did not sing, none of us. So I must have been very young, and I woke up with a start thinking somebody is singing in the car. Sometimes Swami used to sing actually in the car. But it was not Swami's voice. I woke up with start, and I looked, everybody is, my father is driving, my mother. And suddenly I realized that this Om is coming from Swami's chest. From Swami's chest. I'm a curious child, so I'm leaning back somewhere to find out what is happening. I don't know what is happening. And then clearly, in those days, the Ganesha bhajans, the Namavalis were not being sung in the beginning in Prashanti Nilayam. They used to sing one song you may be all familiar with, Shri Ganesha Shivuni Kumara. That song we used to start bhajan in. So I suddenly hear Raja Reddy is, in the old, you might have heard his talks and everything in YouTube, his voice coming from Swami's chest, Sri Ganesha Shivani Kumara singing. And then the ladies are singing like this. And I'm happily leaning and listening. And I looked at Swami in surprise. There was a small child, and Swami said, Bhajan nadustundi, Bhajan is going on, sit quietly. Quietly. So I'm sitting quietly. After a while, my mother was wondering why there is so much silence. No fidgeting is happening in the back seat, no mischief. She turned around and Swami just said, be quiet and put in. Swami, with his eyes closed, completely enjoying the bhajan in Prashanti Nilayam, where these wonderful, great devotees like all of you were singing with so much devotion. So we cannot take what we do here week after week, day after day lightly. It is reverberating in his heart if we are singing with ours. We are singing with ours. That is the key. And then the bhajan completely. Then in the end I heard my tata, my granduncle who was there, Jai Bolo Bhagavan Shri Sathya Sai Baba Varu. He used to say, till such time, almost 40 minutes, I could hear the whole Prashanti Nilayam bhajan on the way from Penakonda to Bangalore in his heart. That, I don't think I realized the strength of that. But much later, it suddenly said, oh, all over the world, much after these Akhanda bhajans started, the global Akhanda bhajans, all over the world, these bhajans are going on. How if when even one person is singing with devotion, how it must be echoing in Swami's heart. How it must be echoing in Swami's heart. So my life my first realization of omnipresence and what Swami says, I am in your heart, you are in my heart. That realization came to me a little bit older, and that was how my life thread of omnipresence.